Okay, had to go out today. Had someone who wanted to see my listing of the trailer park I have down in Childersburg. It's about an hour's drive south of Birmingham. It's listed for about 2.1 million, and it's a real bargain. But anyway, as I was going down there, I recognized I needed some gas, and I saw the gas for $1.47 as it shows in the thumbnail. And I got to thinking, when was the last time I saw gasoline for $1.47? It's been up around $2.99, $3, $3.15, things like that. And I thought, well, how long is it going to stay down at this price? How long are we going to see this? And my thoughts then came to, well, what's got it down here? Well, there's two elements at play, and one is the feud generated between Saudi Arabia and Russia, refusing to cut back on production, and the speculation that this is all being done to put the United States out of the shale business and to make us dependent upon foreign sources for our oil again. And I think, quite honestly, if we hadn't been up to our elbows on the virus crisis, that probably would have been dealt with and done with, and there would have been some sort of an agreement made. The other issue is that we're just not consuming it. So there's a glut of oil and thus gas on the markets, and therefore the price goes down. It'd be the same as if there was a glut of oranges in the grocery store, the price of oranges would go down. So that's all understandable. So then my question is then, how long will that be there? I did a video on, I believe it was March 29th, where I was standing in front of another gas station where the price was, I think, $1.77. And I said, now is the time to buy oil. And I produced this analysis of four of the largest and the strongest, I felt, gasoline producers. That would be Exxon, Chevron, Valero, and HollyFrontier. And I chose them because of their balance sheets. And in this, I explained that. And some of you have indicated that you kind of followed my lead and did buy some of these gasoline companies. And I personally bought Valero, and I'm up 11% on my purchase of Valero. So then the question came, is there still an opportunity here? Is this still something good to buy? And I think it is. I think all four of them are good to buy. Let's see, Chevron's up the highest since when I made the recommendation. It's up 21%. Exxon's up 16%. As I said, Valero 11%. And HollyFrontier up 8%. But they were all down anywhere from 41 to 54%. So they still have some tremendous upside. I got a comment from one of my foreign investors indicating that he was young, he didn't have the money to invest in stocks like Amazon and Google that had price tags of over $1,000 per share. And I gave him some direction that Monday I would suggest HollyFrontier sells for somewhere, it closed at 26.82 or 26.52, and that's a $25 stock. So if you've got $250, you buy 10 shares, and you'll probably come close to doubling your money over the next 3 months. And so I think the oil situation still creates a good investment. Then I was getting ready to do this video, and I thought, well, again, I want to go see what other people are talking about. And again, I went back to one of my favorites, Meet Kevin. Meet Kevin was talking about a Main Street loan program that the government just announced and was coming up with somewhere around $600 billion available to mid-size Main Street companies. Now, when I first read that, I thought that's good. This is going to take care of the garage door guy who we replace my garage doors every so often when my wife backs their car into the garage door, and it's going to take care of my heating and air conditioning guy, and it may even help out my hair salon guy where I should be getting a haircut, and maybe some restaurants. And the criteria basically is that you've got to have between 1 and 1,000 employees. You couldn't have done more than $2.5 billion of revenue on in the last year, and it is a loan, and the loan interest will run between 2.5 and 4%. The way it will work is the bank will make the loan, and they will hold 5% of the value, and the Fed will come and buy the other 95%. They're not guaranteeing it, so the banks are going to have to use some good scrutiny. But the jest that Kevin was using on this was there's a bunch of publicly traded stocks that'll fall into this category, and maybe it'll be an opportunity for Monday morning for you to jump in and get a big bounce. And he looked at a number of companies. He looked at Dave & Buster's, and he felt that was a good buy. And he looked at Spirit Airlines. He thought that would be a good one. And then he also looked at AMC Theaters, but AMC Theaters is too big. They employ too many people, and their revenues were over $2.5 billion last year. So he went down to the fourth-rated movie theater company and was suggesting that might be a good buy. I don't understand that. This is, again, what I talked about it last week, that when you go into these marginal companies, these companies that if they don't get relief, they're going to have to file bankruptcy because they don't have enough money to carry them, in most cases, more than 90 days. Well, that kind of tells me that they weren't managing their company real well anyway. They've gotten rid of all their employees, so they don't have a payroll. Yeah, they still have rent. In the case of Dave & Buster's, they still have rent, and they aren't buying any beer, or they aren't buying any liquor. They do have some inventory there, but the biggest expense they have is labor, and they don't have that now. So how is it that they only have 90 days of capital available to pay their rent, and then they go down? So, and that would be the same. He also recommended Denny's. Obviously, again, their doors are shut. All they're really paying is their rent and maybe their utilities. So why would you go in on Monday and be speculative about some of these are going to get a bounce because the government's going to give them some money, and this all happens in probably 10 days. So I'll go in and buy Dave & Buster's at a low price. They're down somewhere around 65%, and then they'll announce they get this loan, and they'll get a bump maybe in 3 days. But maybe they won't. And who are you betting against? Are you betting against the Dave & Buster's? Are you betting against the banks? Or no, you're betting against the smartest investors in the world. The guy I told you about that has a $2 million computer algorithm system and trades on milliseconds and owns a condo, or bought a penthouse in New York City for $50 million last year. And you're going to go in and buy Dave & Buster's at $4 a share and hope it goes to $8? Well, it might. But is that really where you should be playing? Or should you logically look for a strong oil company that has a good balance sheet, that once the Russian-Saudi Arabian thing is settled, and once you and I are back on the street and we start pumping gas into our gas tanks, it's logical to believe that in 52 weeks, their price will be back to where it was when it went down, or very close. that's just a much safer bet. And it troubles me that somebody who has a reputation, and he is smart in real estate, but Kevin, stay in your lane. You've got a young audience who is inexperienced, who put some credibility in you, and you're telling them to get in a high stakes poker game with professional poker players. And that's my only analogy. Don't do that, Kevin. Don't do that. You're better than that. This sensationalism and trying to teach people how to make a killing in one of the most dangerous landmine glade investment areas is just irresponsible. So that's my take on it. Some of you are calling me their grandfather. That's your grandfather's experience telling you don't do it.